Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to math. We are going to begin a new chapter this week on three-dimensional shapes. We just finished up two-dimensional shapes, and those are what we call flat shapes. Three-dimensional shapes, you'll notice, are a bit different. Let me introduce you to four new shapes. This, if we were to look at one side, you could say that that would be a square. But if you were to hold this shape in person, you would see that it has sides and it is not flat. This is a three-dimensional shape. And this one, you might have a toy or had a toy when you were younger that was like this, that had letters or numbers on it. We call this a cube. Think of an ice cube. A cube is a three-dimensional shape. The next shape I want to introduce you to is similar to a ball. It's round. It's not flat like a circle. It looks kind of circular. It has curves like a circle, but it is what we call a sphere. Can you say sphere? So we have cube and sphere, okay? Two more to go. This one I think you'll really recognize, and if you've ever eaten ice cream before, this shape is at the bottom of an ice cream. It is called a cone. If you eat your ice cream in a cone, this would be a cone. This is another three-dimensional shape. If you look at one side of a cone, you can see a circle, and there is a point or a corner at the top. It does have some curved surfaces, and it has one flat surface as well. And last, I want to show you, this is a cylinder. Now this one is a skinny cylinder. It has two ends to it that are circular. It does have a curved surface, but it has two flat surfaces, where a cone only had one flat surface and one pointed surface. So those are four. Those are not the only three-dimensional shapes that there are. Those are just some beginning ones I wanted to introduce you to use for our lesson today. Let's go ahead and get started with chapter 10. You are on page 573. Now today's lesson is not going to be easy for me because you do not have shapes probably at home like we would here at school to use, but I'm going to do my best to go ahead and draw these and show you what we're looking at. Now, I talked a lot about these shapes having curves, and so sometimes we're going to look and see if shapes can stack or not stack. Now by stack, I mean, can they stand on top of each other without any help? So for example, if I were to use a cube and a cylinder, they would stack because they stand on top of each other without any help. If I were to use a cube and a sphere, that not so much. You don't have any flat surfaces on a sphere. They are all curved, so those are not stackable. So from the four shapes I introduced to you today, we need to take a peek and see what does stack and what does not stack. So the first one I showed you, a cube and a cylinder, will stack, and they can stack on top of each other even if one is different than the other. Now, when we talk about stacking, we want to make sure that there are flat surfaces. Those both have flat surfaces. Cylinders are kind of tricky. They have a curved surface. So if I were to try and use my curved surface, it would not stay very well on top of my flat surface. I think if everything were stationary, it would, but it's kind of rolling off there. So stackable. A cylinder and a cube are stackable. So here on this side, in order to represent that, drawing a cube can be kind of tricky. So Svogel already started that the wrong way. I'm not really worried about how you draw it. You can try your best, but to kind of draw a slanted square a little bit, and then we can draw the sides that come down. So that definitely is not perfect. We can work on that a little bit more. And the other one would be a cylinder And so I'll draw that flat side there as the circle. My smartboard isn't aligned very well, so my lines aren't matching up the way they should, so sorry about that. All right, those two shapes will stack. Now, if I were to pull in the cone will stack on one side, but it doesn't stack on the curved surfaces or with the vertice or the corner at the bottom. So we're not going to say that a cone is stackable right now. So does not stack would definitely be the round one, which is called a sphere. So go ahead and just draw a circle there. That'll kind of identify as a sphere. We can sometimes make lines in there to show that it's three-dimensional if we need to. That would be a sphere. The other one would be this one here, which we call a, kind of looks like a teepee or a hut of some sort that way. This one we're going to call the cone. So it is, if you notice, it's kind of shaped like a triangle, only it has like some curved surfaces. Oh, sorry, this is gonna drive Miss Vogel nuts. I should have fixed it before I started. So, and you can draw those lines again in there to kind of annotate that would, or notice that would be three-dimensional. So a cube and a cylinder do stack. They are stackable. And a sphere and a cone are not stackable. So let's go ahead and move on to the next page, boys and girls. Remember, let me ask you one time and see if you remember. Do you remember what this shape is called? You might see cans of soda at home or cans of vegetables that would be the same as this. This is a cylinder. This one is kind of like a ice cube. It's a cube, it's a block. If you have a block at home, you might see those. A cube. This one I know you're gonna really remember. Like if you were eating them, that would be a cone. And the last one, like a ball, would be a sphere. So those are the four that we've learned. So what we would do here is if in class you were here, we would actually put the shapes on here, and some of them roll, some of them stack, and some of them stack and roll. Now this is going to be a little confusing. Right away, we know that a sphere is going to roll. So you can either draw that on there if you want, or if you have some at home, like a marble or something, you could put that. We're doing some sorting here. Second, something that rolls would be a cone. If it's on its side, it's going to roll around. Now, this is the one that gets kind of tricky because in Miss Vogel's teacher book, it says that this would just be on the roll. But for me, I kind of think that a cone could roll and stack depending on what side you put it on. So it's okay. We'll go ahead and put it up here like my teaching book tells us to. But boys and girls, it's okay if you decided to put it in the roll and stack, because I could see why you would want to do that, since on one side of it you could roll. Now, when we talk about rolling and stacking, this one can stack on both ends. That's why this would be a stackable. But it can also roll if we turn it on its side, it can roll forward. So in this column, we're gonna go ahead and draw our, do you remember what this is called? It's a cylinder. We're gonna redraw that. Sorry about that. It is a cylinder. And right after this lesson, Miss Vogel is going to fix this computer. All right, and the last one, the last column would be things that just stack. And so a cube cannot roll on a curved surface because it has all flat surfaces. So this would be the only shape that we would put in the stackable. Oh, I'm not an artist. I'm so sorry. Okay, especially not when I'm having technical difficulties. So, all right, so roll and stack and stack. Okay, we're getting there. On the next page, you are going to actually find the shapes that are the same as the beginning, that do what the first shape does. So for example, a ball, see those arrows? A basketball or any kind of ball can roll. So which one of these shapes would roll or would not? I'm sorry. What shape does not roll? A sphere will roll and a cylinder will roll, but a cube will not roll. So we're going to go ahead and cross out the cube because that does not roll. This one, which shapes do not stack? So cubes can stack. Which of these do not stack? Well, we could not stack a sphere because it rolls. And we're also going to do the cone because we could only stack the cone on the flat surface. We couldn't stack anything above it. So to stack multiple things, we could not do that. So we'll cross out the cone there as well. The next one, we want to know which shape does not slide. So a drum could slide on its flat surface. A cone could slide, not a cone, sorry. A cylinder could slide across on its flat surface. A cube could slide along on a flat surface. A sphere could not slide. If it were to move, it would roll. So a sphere will not slide. It will only roll since it has a curved surface. Now, something that could stack and slide, well, right away we know that a sphere does not slide and it does not stack. So we'll go ahead and cross that one out right away. Now, what about cubes and cylinders? Can cubes stack? Well, they can stack that way and that way. So yes, they can stack. And can they slide? Well, if we look back, we said that a cylinder can slide. It can slide. And a cube can slide. We could slide it along. And so both of those would stack and slide. All right, you guys are doing a fantastic job with our three-dimensional shapes. Let's move on to our very last page. Here you have, do you remember what this one is called? Turn it around upside down. It might help you remember. This is a cone. This one would be a cylinder. That is just like a can of soda or a can of vegetables, those types of things. So if we're to look at both of those, I want to give you a riddle. I'm thinking of a shape and I roll and I do not stack. Well, both of these can roll because they both have curved surfaces, and I do not stack. So let's think about that. Stacking would mean on top of each other. And a cylinder, we know we could put something that is flat on top and on bottom of a cylinder. So the one that cannot would be the cone. We could stack on one side, on one edge of it on the bottom, but we could not stack on the top. It was not a flat surface. So this is the shape that we are thinking of, and it is called a cone. On the very last one, number 7, I want you to draw to show me what you know about a real object that rolls and does not stack. So think about that for a minute. Which one of those 4 shapes that I introduced you to, the cube, the cone, the cylinder, or the sphere, which one of those rolls but does not stack? Rolls and does not stack. What did you come up with? Did you come up with a sphere? You are correct. Very good. You also could have said a cone because it can roll and it does not stack. So if you thought of a cone, that would also fit our description as well. Okay? Great job today, boys and girls, beginning to learn about 3-dimensional or solid shapes is another way we call them. We'll work tomorrow on spheres. Have a great day.